talk to you about hiring practices of the County of Lebanon, but more specifically, I'm here to talk to you about the concept of redemption, and whether the County of Lebanon believes in redemption and human redemption, whether people can redeem themselves. We're all familiar with the fact that people can go from good to bad, but I think there's a lot of reluctance, and there's less ability to accept the fact that people can go from bad to good. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. You may have heard across the country there is a program, or I won't call it a program, a movement that is colloquially referred to as ban the box, and that is to take boxes off of employment applications that require information about past criminal convictions. In Lebanon County, the county employment application has this on the front, on the very first page: were you ever convicted of a criminal offense, or have you ever forfeited bond or collateral in connection with a criminal charge? Yes or no. So that means that the way that this term, and then it goes on to say, the term criminal offense is defined as any felony or misdemeanor, including any summary offense. Which means that me, as a 57-year-old man, if I was to come in here and apply for a job for the County of Lebanon, if I had an underage drinking charge when I was 19 years old, I would have to check yes on that box, something that happened many, many years ago. If I had served time in prison even, and had been working ever since, and had done everything right and raised a family and done everything in my life that everybody expected me to do, I would still have to check yes on that box. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is that this proposal to take this off the employment application does not in any way, shape, or form prevent the county from investigating someone's past record. And in fact, it does not preclude the county from asking someone in an interview as to what their past record is and requiring that person to disclose that past record. What it does do is take this off the initial application so that the person is not subjected to this initial sieve that they have to go through. Because the way this works is, when a job is advertised, the county may get 20, 25 applications, whatever. Let's say they get 20. Let's say 5 of them have that box checked. Well, all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about 20 of them. You only have to worry about 15 of them, because the concept is that that's sort of an initial disqualifier. Even despite what the application says, it serves as an initial disqualifier. And I would say this too: if the argument is that it is not an initial disqualifier, if the argument is that it does not initially disqualify people, then why is it on the form? It is to be presumed that it serves a purpose if it's on the form. And the purpose is an initial inquiry into someone without the opportunity for that person to come in and talk to someone and explain their individual circumstances and explain their individual personality to someone. Our country is engaged in what has often been referred to as mass incarceration at this point in time. There are 2.2 million people in prisons across the United States of America. The recidivism rate, though, is what we're really talking about here. What this does is it is an initial impediment to people rehabilitating themselves. The recidivism rate is, generally speaking, across the United States, 67% within 3 years and 76% within 5 years of release. So our record as far as rehabilitation is abysmal in this country. It is a terrible, terrible record. What we do is we put people in jail, and we put them out, let them out the door. We say, okay, you're on your own. Go ahead, be like everybody else. Get a job, get an apartment, and do it within a month or whatever it is. We ask them to do this without any assistance whatsoever, without any help. And in fact, it gets worse than that. It's not that we don't help them, and it's not that we don't give them assistance. We put roadblocks in their way by putting things like this on employment applications. There are 18 states across the country which have eliminated this from their employment applications. There are more than 100 counties and townships and cities across the country which have eliminated this, all in this pursuit of giving people a chance. I wanted to leave you with some documents here. Before I do, we all know that Pope Francis just came to Philadelphia and he visited the prison there. And I wanted to read to you what he said when he was talking to the inmates, just a little piece of what he said. He said, "This time in your life can only have one purpose, to give you a hand in getting back on the right road, to give you a hand to help you rejoin society. All of us are part of that effort. All of us are invited to encourage, help, and enable your rehabilitation. A rehabilitation which everyone seeks and desires. Inmates and their families, correctional authorities, social and educational programs. A rehabilitation which benefits and elevates the morals of the entire community." That is where we are failing when we have a 76% recidivism rate. What I'm encouraging you to do is to take those words to your heart, to say, all of us are part of that effort. Not some experts, not some Department of Corrections experts, but all of us are part of that effort. And a little piece of that, just a little tiny piece, begins right here with the County of Lebanon employment application. So
we have a number of agencies here at the county that are involved in helping them with reentry, and there's agencies that assist in that as well, Jubilee Ministries and Lebanon County Christian Ministries and so on. So there are certainly are efforts to help, and that's not by any means saying that we can't do more. Having been an employer most of my adult life, and I know my application has that same box on there, and has as long as I've been employing folks. But as a defense of myself, that doesn't mean that we have never hired folks that have checked that box. And I know you're saying if that's not what it means, then why have it on there? But as an employer here at the county and an employer in private business, I think we really need to know what kind of infractions or laws have been broken by these folks, because and that doesn't mean that they can't correct it somewhere down the line, but I mean, if people have been involved in assaults and theft and things of that nature, certainly as an employer you need to be aware of those things. So as I said, in my own personal experience, I have when I meet with people, I don't immediately throw out all those applications where that box is checked. In fact, as an employer today, you probably don't have that luxury, because as much as we hear folks don't have jobs, it's very, very difficult to hire people today to do a good job. And we have that difficulty here at the county in many cases. So, but I would, myself, if I handled an interview like that, I would talk to them about what the offense was and hope that they would be open to me. The normal answer that I get, most prominent answer, I think, which would point out your point about recidivism and probably not being successful, is I often got, I would say, what's your offense, or why were you incarcerated? And they would almost always say probation violation or parole violation, which is obviously not the offense that we're concerned about. It's what put them in prison in the first place. So.
Well, in response, all I would do is emphasize the fact that none of this, nothing that I'm asking for prohibits the county or any other employer to look into people's background, to do a background check, and to ask that question at an interview once the person comes in and presents all of their other qualifications and has a face-to-face interview. Nothing prevents the county, and in fact the county can certainly ask that question and do whatever investigation it normally does.